Hey everybody, welcome back to the Whiskey Cove, and on today's episode we look at Evan Williams' Bottled in Bond. Is it really worth the hype? Let's find out. Run that VT. Okay then folks, let's get into this review, shall we? And as usual, let's find out a little bit more about this bottle. So, the review of Evan Williams' Bottled in Bond, this 100% proof version of the world's second largest selling Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, is aged for 4 years under US government supervision to meet the exacting standards for Bottled in Bond. First enacted by Congress in 1897 and still on the books today, Bottled in Bond guarantees quality and assures consumers the product is bottled at exactly 100% proof. The product is of one distilling season at one distillery, aged for at least 4 years and clearly labelled with the name of the distillery, who made it, and distilled spirits plant number, in which it was made and bottled. Evan Williams, a Welsh immigrant to North America, was born in Dale, Pembrokeshire, and emigrated to the United States towards the end of the 18th century. Williams settled in Kentucky and began distilling in 1783 in what is now Louisville, Kentucky. A historical marker in Louisville marks the site as Kentucky's first commercial distillery. Williams was elected to serve as the first wharfmaster of Louisville in 1797. So what is really interesting about Evan Williams again is that he's an immigrant from Wales, just like Jesper Jack Daniels, if you watched that review a few weeks ago, another Welshman who came here and set up a distillery who has obviously been very, very successful. So the mash bill on this one is 78% corn, 12% malted barley and 10% rye. So then let's take a look at the bottle here. So as you can see, this is a 1.75 litre bottle, so the MSRP and some of the other notes I'll make today is more structured towards the 750 milliliter bottle, but I just got this because Evan Williams is a bit of a staple for cocktails in my house. With that being said, let's take a little look at the bottle. Of course, you know, being a bit of a budget bottle, there's no frills with this bottle. You have some edging on the glass here for Evan Williams around the side, but apart from that, kind of looks like a pretty cheap bottle. For the label itself, you have predominantly white on the front, the sides there, and there's a little white label on the back. You also have some gold writing where it says Bottled in Bond, and since 1783, because they're obviously proud about their history. And then some dark green notes here about the 100% proof and the single distillery, kind of like the Bottled in Bond notes there. You have a little bit of notes about the Bottled in Bond Act there on the right-hand side, and then on the left-hand side, it talks a little bit about Evan Williams' Kentucky heritage here. So with that being said, let's get into the glass and let's get into some nosy notes and some visual notes here. So straight away, it's kind of like a new penny color, so fairly light for a 100% proof whiskey. Glass retention's pretty good, seems to stick to the glass really well. Let's go in for a nose. So immediately I get some really nice sweet vanilla cream. I kind of like a little bit of candied orange. So if you ever go to a cocktail bar and you get an old fashioned and then you get it served with like a piece of candied orange, you kind of have that really sweet orange note that comes with that. I'm almost getting like no spice whatsoever as well on the nose. Maybe a little bit of ginger if you search for that. All in all, a very well balanced nose. You get a lot of sweet, a little bit of ethanol burn, not too much, but it's definitely there reminding you that it's 100% proof. Nothing offensive in the nose whatsoever. So let's go in for a taste and see what the palate's all about. So straight away, that sweetness from the nose follows through to the palate. Some big, sweet vanilla cream notes on the palate there as well. I'm also getting some cereal notes there, like some cereal grain notes as well. Kind of like a Cheerio cereal, yeah, kind of the same flavor profile as that. Maybe a little bit of nutmeg on this, or maybe a little bit more of like a peanut shell note coming through here. That's maybe a little bit more towards the finish though. So with the palate on this one, it's just predominantly more of a sweet palate, like I said, like more of a sweet vanilla note. You get a little bit of brown sugar there as well. It's not too spicy. Maybe a little bit of cedar wood there, like fresh cut cedar plain wood. You can probably pick that up, but I can definitely tell why this is a favorite for cocktails because there's just nothing offensive in the flavor. It's not too spicy. It's more of a sweeter bourbon that probably mars well with like a sweeter notes in a cocktail. So then let's move into the finish on this one. Cheers. So even though this is a sweet whiskey, towards the end or towards the finish, I am getting a lot of like dry oak spice notes. It kind of clenches the tongue a little bit there, and you are getting a little bit of a Kentucky hug, and that's probably attributed to the 50% alcohol or 100% proof that is in this bottle. And then I'm also picking up like a peanut shell note. You're definitely getting that there, kind of like if you're chewing like a peanut shell and you're trying to get the nuts out in your mouth. It kind of tastes a little bit like that. Not getting any of the salt or anything, but the kind of like dry clenching note is definitely there in your mouth. So conclusions and ratings on this bottle. I did the math, and for $750, I paid about $18 for the bottle, which is fantastic value for money, I feel like, for any bottle of whiskey that's in a glass bottle. Because let's be honest, like, to get a glass bottle and to ship it from Kentucky to nationwide and to be able to sell that bottle for $18 is just crazy in my opinion. But yes, I paid $18 for this. I feel like it was fantastic value for money. I feel like this is like a predominantly a more sweeter bourbon, and then you have a tiny little bit of spice on the back end there. I didn't get any rye spice on this at all, so it was more of those like corn sweet notes. Or if you're someone who doesn't particularly like rye and is more into bourbon, then this will be right up your alley. So then let's get into the score for Evan Williams Bottled in Bond. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give this 71 out of 100. I think this is a very, very solid bourbon. I think 71 for an $18 bottle of bourbon is a fantastic score. The sweet notes up front, like a sweet vanilla cream you're picking up. Not much heat on the nose, and that kind of transcends through to the palate. You're picking up more sweeter notes on the palate. A little bit of candied orange, a little bit of nutmeg, and some ginger if you're able to pick it up. No rye spice there. And then when you go to the finish, you pick up some of those dry and oak spice notes. Yes, it's a 4-year bourbon, and you're picking up some of those cereal grey notes that I would usually pick up with like a youthful bourbon, but that in no way takes away from the taste. So that's all we have time for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed the review on the channel. If you have any other ideas about reviews, or if there's any whiskies you'd like to see us review, please comment down below. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel as we make this community grow, as we drink through the world's whiskies one glass at a time. Cheers.